Soldiers carry anti-tank sniper rifles, aimed at the German plane in the sky. He pulled the trigger decisively. The shot not only missed the target, but attracted the attention of the plane. The plane quickly turned around, and swooped down on the Soviets again. The soldier rushed to load his ammunition, and pulled the trigger against a barrage of bullets, but this time, they still missed. The fighters turned around again and swooped down. The low tide of Soviet troops fired wildly. The soldiers took advantage of the opportunity to aim and fire. They blew out the engine of the plane. Then the plane went out of control. It crashed into a hill not far away. It was instantly reduced to ashes, but before the Soviets could rejoice, more German planes were coming. The Soviets were bombing their positions. This is the blitzkrieg that the Germans are so good at, high-speed maneuvering and attacking. The Germans used the blitzkrieg to take over the city. Denmark in 4 hours, Luxembourg in 2 days, Holland in 5 days, Norway in 23 days, even France, the strongest army in Europe, only resisted for 38 days. Blitzkrieg is the German army's key to victory. In the Soviet Union, it did not work, even if the Soviet positions were leveled. But as long as the Soviet soldiers are still alive, they will do everything they can to delay the German attack. After a short rest, the Soviets began digging trenches. Soon the Germans attacked again. The Soviet anti-tank guns immediately opened fire. The leading German Tiger was hit by a shot. It lost control and tumbled down the hill. Only the tracks are still spinning. The German tanks quickly lined up, bypassing the Soviet anti-tank guns, trying to break through the first line of defense. But the Soviet anti-tank sniper immediately pulled the trigger and shot the Tiger tank. The Germans quickly climbed out of the tank and fled. The new recruits were too scared to shoot. The veteran grabbed the submachine gun. He killed the German tankman with a single shot. Then he shouted a lesson to the new soldier. Mercy to the enemy is cruelty to our own people. Before the German can raise his hand and surrender, there are no prisoners on the battlefield. There are only dead soldiers. Eventually, the Soviets repelled the Germans again. But the Germans never wanted to believe that their proud tactics were not working. So they launched another air raid. Thousands of tons of explosives were dropped on the Soviets. The dust from the exploding shells buried Soviet trenches 2 meters deep. After the bombing, the Germans marched towards the Soviet position. They were ready to clean up the battlefield, but the surviving Soviets immediately loaded their ammunition and pulled the trigger on the Germans. But the Germans were undaunted. They were sure that the Soviets were on their last legs. Just then, one of the Soviets grabbed his machine gun and opened fire on the Germans. The Germans were taken by surprise, but soon the Soviets ran out of bullets. They could only load their bayonets. They shouted "Ula" and rushed out of the trenches, and the Germans came face to face with their desperate fighting style. Once again, the Germans were successfully repulsed. In the end, the Blitzkrieg lost out to the Soviet Union's war of attrition.